Prices are down in every major market across the country, and Washington, D.C. and Northern Virginia are not immune. Hey guys, Khalil El Ghul here at Glass House Real Estate, back for another market update. It's October 2022, and I have a story to tell you that pretty much sums up the market right now. So I recently sold 2 homes in the same neighborhood 4 months apart. Located in Herndon, Virginia, we listed one in April for $830,000, which represented a pretty aggressive list price for the neighborhood. Went on the market, and like many homes earlier this year, we received multiple offers and it ended up selling for $955,000, the highest selling sales price ever in the community. Fast forward 4 months, late summer, we listed an almost identical house in the same neighborhood for $850,000. We staged it, we painted it, it looked fantastic, but we got nothing. We got a few lowball offers, lots of showings, some activity, but we could not get it under contract. More homes kept coming to the market at lower sales price. We eventually lowered the price to $800,000, which was in line with the market pre-2022 and ended up selling at full price with limited contingencies. Same house, same neighborhood, 4 months apart, $150,000 different. So what does that mean? Did the first buyer pay too much even though they have a lower monthly payment than the second buyer? Which scenario would you rather be in? Would you rather have the lower payment of buyer number 1, or would you rather have more equity like buyer number 2? Every person and situation is different. That's what makes this market so complex and confusing for so many buyers and sellers right now. For buyer number 1, if they live there for the next 10, 20 years, those losses are on paper. And for buyer number 2, when they do go sell the home in the future, that's a real $150,000 savings because they waited and they took on a higher interest rate. But that sums up the market right now. Prices are down in every major market across the country, and Washington, D.C. and Northern Virginia are not immune. So who are the winners and losers in this market? Look, buyer number 1 in April, they hit the jackpot. Perfect timing, lowest interest rates. In May, I recorded a video that said that the market has peaked, and that correlates with the timeline of that sale. Seller number 2 had to swallow a tough pill. They had to accept $150,000 less than an almost identical house just a few months earlier. But all in all, they did fine. Bought the house in 2010, had a ton of equity, and they sold for what it would have sold for just a year ago. Maybe a little bit more. So what does that mean for buyers and sellers today if you are on the ground and you need to buy a home or sell a home? If you're a seller, you have to be realistic with your pricing. That is your best marketing tool. That is what is going to get your home sold quickly and for top dollar. There are outliers, there are anomalies. There are still some neighborhoods, still some communities where you could price aggressively and get offers. But those are the exception and not the rule. In the last 30 days, as I sit here in October 2022, we've seen multiple offers on 3 different properties. People are like, oh wow, multiple offers, bidding wars. No, multiple offers does not necessarily mean bidding wars, and that's not what we're seeing. We're still seeing a lot of activity. Some of these multiple offers were 10% under asking price, 15% under asking price, right? There are a lot of buyers out there who are looking for opportunity, who are making offers in line with what they could afford given the higher interest rates, and with the understanding, frankly, that prices will probably continue to go down for the foreseeable future. The buyers who are buying right now are well qualified, have stable jobs, think doctors, lawyers, government employees, live under their means, they can weather the higher interest payment, and usually have a ton of cash. The buyers who are dropping out of the market are the ones who don't need to buy. Their current housing situation is fine, there's no urgency, and there's no extenuating pressure that makes them have to buy a home. If you're selling a house right now, me saying, hey, as long as you price it well and you do everything correct, you're going to sell just fine. It's easier said than done because the conversation on pricing is not an easy conversation to have. Not every seller is ready to hear it. Not every agent is prepared to convey it effectively. And sometimes you have to go through the motions, but every situation is different. We don't get it right every time. The market is really fast moving, but we are still selling at above pre-pandemic prices. So what's the downside of buying a home right now and selling a home? There are a couple camps in our industry, what we think might happen with housing. The first camp says housing prices are going to crash. Over the next 3 to 6 months, we are going to see a huge drop in sales volume, huge increase in inventory, and in order for sellers to get those few buyers who remain at the 8%, 9% interest rates that we might see here in the next 2 quarters, all hypothetical of course, you are going to have to drop your price drastically. The second camp thinks that there will be lower prices for the next 3 to 6 months as interest rates continue to rise. There's a consensus that rates will go up again. Some even think that they'll hit 8.5% before this is all said and done. But once we hit the spring market, 1 of 2 things will happen. We'll start to get some positive economic news, right? Inflation goes down, employment stays strong, and or the Fed starts to drop interest rates. And once that happens, all the buyers who are on the sideline now, those 17 offers I had on that property in Herndon in April to 0 offers in August, those 16 other buyers who have decided now to sit out the market will come back into the market this spring and activity will resume. That's my update.